Hello everyone, I am Leela Prabhugaonkar and today we'll be starting with the chapter 5 of economics, that is consumer rights. Okay, so what I mean by consumer rights here in this chapter we are going to learn about different consumer rights with regards to unequal situations in a particular market, and there are various rules and regulations, okay, which are enforced on the poor people. So hence there is a need to sensitize the situation, and we have to encourage the consumers to participate in the consumer movements. Okay, so in this chapter we are going to learn about different consumer movements, then where to file the complaints if any consumer have any complaints with regards to any particular products. Okay, then we have seen that most of the consumer they get exploited. Okay, so in this chapter we'll be learning all about that, and we'll look after all the examples. So so here they have given us a case histories about how consumers are exploited in real life situations, and how legal institutions help the consumer in getting compensations. Okay, so the case histories will this is going to enable the learners to learn about the life experiences about how the consumers get exploited in the market. Okay, and here you'll be able to understand the awareness of being a well informed consumer arose out of consumer movement and active participation of people through their struggles over a long period. Okay, so this is with regards to consumer rights. With so here we can see different colleges. Okay, so in these clippings we have seen that there are consumer we can read this consumer panel cracks own on sales memos, then insurance form to pay 7,000 for theft, then DU teacher gets rupees 45,000 for flawed phone bill, then bank fine rupees 15,000 for sloppy service. So all these things are given over here. So the question arises here is, why did the people go to this organization in these cases? So there are various dispute redressal commission, wherein if you are getting exploited by one particular businessman, then you can file a complaint against them. So there are redressal commissions. Okay, so these verdicts came about because some people persisted and struggled to get a justice. So that's why we have these redressal commissions and all those things. So the consumer in the marketplace, we'll move to this. So we participate in the market both as a producer and a consumer. Okay, so as a producer of goods and services, we could be working in any of the sectors discussed earlier, like if you are a producer. Okay, producer means the manufacturer, right? So producer, they can sell their product in any of this market, like agriculture, industry, services. Then consumers, they participate in the market, no, when they purchase goods and services that they need. So in market we find two things, that is producer and the consumer. The one who produces, the one who produces, and the one who consumes, the one the one who consumes. Okay, so consumers, they participate in the market when they purchase goods and services that they need. So these are the final goods that people as consumer use. So producers, they sell them the final goods, right? Sell final goods, and in return consumer gives money to the producer. So So in this chapter we'll be discussing about what are the rules and regulations that are or steps that will promote this development. Okay, but what happens in this process, sometimes producer can cheat consumer, okay, or they can exploit the consumer. So this is what we are going to discuss in this chapter. Also, whenever a consumer is getting exploited by the producer, okay, so that time, consumer is like helpless. He don't have any other they don't know where to go or where to file the complaints against the producer. Okay, so there are some redressal commissions who helps the consumer for all these things. We'll see the example over here. So we have seen in the chapter 3 with regards to the formal and the informal sector. So in chapter 3 we have discussed that informal in with regards to informal sector, basically the money lender, uh, they cheat the borrower. Okay, so borrower later on he don't have any other option. Okay, either to he can either work with the money lender, or he can pay the full amount. So they could make the producers sell the produce to them at a low rate in return for a timely loan, or they could force a small farmer like Swapna to sell her land to pay back the loan. So this example we have seen in chapter 3. So many people who work in the unorganized sector, they have to work at a low wages and accept conditions that are not fair and are also often harmful to their health. So this happens basically in the small scale industries wherein workers, they are not treated properly. They get the unequal fare, and the conditions where they work, the workplace where they work is very harmful to their health. So to prevent such exploitation, here we'll be talking about the rules and regulation for their protections. So there are organizations that have struggled for long to ensure that these rules are being followed. Then, so rules and regulations, these are required for the protection of the consumers in the marketplace. If those rules and regulations were not there, then consumers, the producers would have exploited the consumer. Okay, so individual consumer, they often find themselves in a weak position. Whenever there is a complaint regarding a good or service that had been bought, the seller tries to shift all the responsibility onto the buyer. So their position usually is like, if you don't like what you bought, then go elsewhere, okay, or don't buy from us. So as if the seller has no responsibility once the sale is completed. So in the previous class we have discussed about MNCs, no, multinational companies. Their goal is not only to sell the product, but they also give the after sale services. But sometimes this doesn't happen. So the consumers, they get exploited. So the consumer movement and all these things are there in this chapter that we'll be discussing now. So exploitation in the marketplace happens in a various ways. Okay, for example, sometimes traders, they involved in unfair trade practices, such as when shopkeepers weigh less. They sometimes, they weigh less the product, and then what they should, or when traders add charges that they are not mentioned before, they add some extra prices to the particular product. Sometimes the adulterated or defective goods are being sold. Sometimes what they do is they mix the rice with some other or they mix the wheat with some other uh, defective products. So like this, they exploit the consumer. So here they sell, some producer, they sell the defective goods into the market. Then if it's a consumer's responsibility also, like if they are buying the electronic items, then we have to check those hallmarks and all, and then we have to check whether the machines or whatever you have purchased it is working properly or not. Okay, otherwise if you are not checking at that time, and if you are directly bringing the particular goods at that electronic products at home, then it can be defective also getting. So markets do not work in a fair manner when producers are few and powerful, whereas consumer purchase in small amounts and this is scattered. So this happens especially when large companies are producing these goods. So these mistakes can happen with the large companies as well, when they are producing the product as in bulk. Okay, so these companies with a huge wealth, power and reach can manipulate the market, or sometimes they can sell the adulterated products or defective products into the market. um, then they are not going to listen to the consumer. They are going to blame the retailer, the one who is going to sell, and the consumer. Okay, so in return they are going to blame either the retailer or the consumer. So at times false information is passed on through the media and other sources to attract consumer. So example, um, we can see one picture over here, and is saying that they purposely made it so it will fall apart after a few months, so that I will buy a new one. So this child has brought some electronic items, and now that it is not working. One more example we'll see. A company for years sold powder milk for babies all over the world as the most scientific product, claiming this is better than the mother's milk. Okay, now it took years of struggle before the company was forced to accept that it had been making false claims. So such companies, they make a false claim, and they create an image in the consumer's mind that that particular company's product is good. So this is a kind of brainwashing that they do. Then sometimes, what happens is they do that greenwashing, like they tell the consumers that our product is green, like our product is eco-friendly. Green in the sense that product is eco-friendly, and then they make a false claim, okay, that this particular product was what took so much time to manufacture. Then no chemical processes are being done for this particular product, and also these are all the false claim what they are doing. So they are just brainwashing the consumer. So even with regards to cigarettes, they sell with the high advertising. Then they are making the false claim over here. And so similarly, a long battle had to be fought with court cases to make cigarette manufacturing companies accept that their product could cause a cancer. So hence there is need for rules and regulation to ensure protection for consumer. Still they are selling the cancer producing products into the market, even though the actions are being taken against them. But the thing is, they do put the strict warning on that particular product that this kills people. So here everyone knows tobacco kills people, but who can say that tobacco companies should not be free to sell tobacco? They just put the tag on that particular product. Okay, so there are various consumer movements in this. Okay, so the consumer movement arose out of the dissatisfaction of the consumer. So when these consumer movements came out, when the consumers are dissatisfied, consumers are dissatisfied in the market due to exploitation by the producer. Okay, so the consumer movement arose out of dissatisfaction of the consumer, as many unfair practices were being indulged in by the sellers. There was no legal system available to consumer, okay, to protect them for exploitation in the marketplace. So for a long time, when a consumer was not happy with a particular brand product, or a shop, he or she generally avoided buying that brand product. Okay, so let's suppose that particular brand product is not good, then we just used to, not we were not we used to not purchase that particular product. But or we as a consumer, we never thought of complaining to the redressals, okay, various redressal commissions. So it was presumed that it was the responsibility of the consumer to be careful while buying a commodity or a service. It is still presumed, okay, that it is the consumer responsibility. So it took many years for organization in India and around the world to create awareness amongst people. So this has also shifted the responsibility of ensuring quality of goods and services on the sellers. So in India, we got the consumer movement as a social force originated with the necessity of protecting and promoting the interests of consumers against the unethical and unfair trade practices. So that's why this consumer movement came to promote the interests of the consumer, to promote interest of consumers and and to protect from unfair trade practices. To protect from unfair trade practices. Okay, then. So, rampant food shortages, hoarding, black marketing, adulteration, defective products, selling of defective products, and edible oil gave birth to the consumer movement in an organized form in 1960s. So, till the 1970s, consumer organizations were largely engaged in writing articles and exhibitions and holding the exhibitions. So here what the consumer did is that they formed the consumer groups to look into the malpractices in ration shops and overcrowding in the road passenger transport. So India has witnessed a large number of consumer groups as the time passes. So here we can see a Consumers International. In 1985, United Nations they adopted the UN guidelines for consumer protections. This was a tool for nations to adopt measures to protect consumers and for consumer advocacy groups to press their government to do so. So at the international level also, there is a foundation for consumer movement, and today Consumers International has become an umbrella body to over 200 member organization from over 100 countries. So now because of all this, the movement has succeeded, and it has put a pressure on the business firms to give a better quality of product to the consumers, and also they have succeeded in bringing pressure on business firms as well as government to correct the business conduct which may be unfair and they can go against the interests of the consumer at large. Okay, so a major step is taken by Indian government in order to control all those things. In the year 1986, so they enacted the Consumer Protection Act 1986, which is also known as COPRA, COPRA. So Consumer Protection Act 1986. Okay, so there are various consumer forums which have been formed in various parts of India. So here example is given. Let's move to the example. Reggie Matthew, a healthy boy studying in class 9, was admitted in a private clinic in Kerala for removal of tonsils. So an ENT surgeon performed the operation under general anesthesia. As a result of improper anesthesia, Reggie showed symptoms of some brain abnormalities. So, whatever anesthesia was given to that particular student was improper. So that's why he suffered that brain abnormalities, and because of that, he was crippled for life. So his father, what he did is his father filed a complaint in the State Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission claiming compensation of 5 lakh for medical negligence and deficiency. Now this was their fault, that ENT surgeon's fault. So that's why his father filed a complaint against them, and he claimed a compensation of 5 lakh. So the state commission, saying that the evidence was not sufficient, dismissed it. So state commission, what they did is they asked for the proof, and they said that this is not sufficient, whatever proof you have submitted. So they just dismissed the whatever the complaint was, it was filed by the Reggie's father. Then what he did was he appealed again in the National Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission, which is located in New Delhi. So later on, the National Commission, after looking into the complaint, they held the hospital responsible for medical negligence and directed it to pay the compensation. So here, if the State Commission has not has rejected his the State Commission, they have rejected his complaint, no. But he later on he went to the National Consumer Forum, and then they accepted it. So this also we can do. If the State Commission is not accepting your complaint, then you can move to the National Consumer Forum. Okay. So Reggie's suffering show how a hospital, due to negligence by the doctors and staff in giving anesthesia, cripple a student. So they took the student's life while using many goods and services. We as a consumer have the right to protect against all the marketing, goods and delivery of the services which are hazardous to our health and our life and our property. So producers need to strictly follow the required rules and regulations. So there are many goods and services that we purchase that requires special attention to the safety. So example, pressure cookers have a safety valve which if it is defected, then it can cause a serious accident. Then the manufacturers of the safety valve have to ensure a high quality. So here public or the government action also is required. Then however, whenever we find a bad quality of product in the market, then we directly have to complain to the producer, or if they are not listening to us, then we have to move to the such national or the state commission. Okay. So the thing is, like, whenever we buy any commodity, whenever we buy any goods, we have to find out certain details with regards to a particular commodity. We have to see with regards to the ingredients, what kind of ingredients used. We have to see the price, the batch, when that product was manufactured, and the expiry date, and also we have to see the address of the manufacturer. So when we buy medicines also, we have to check the proper direction for use, who can consume it, and at what level we have to consume that. Everything is being mentioned on those packets. So we have to if we are not able to, like with regards to medicines, we always have to be proper, we always have to take a proper care. We have to ask the doctors, like for the, if any side effects are there, then we have to immediately contact the doctors. So these are certain things like what we have to be very careful. So when we buy medicines, on the package you might find directions for proper use and information relating to side effects and risks which are associated with usage of that medicines. So so this is with regards to the medicines. Even though whenever we buy the clothes, okay, we have to read the instructions for washing. Then why is it that the rules have been made so that the manufacturer displays this information? It is because consumers, they have the right to be informed, right? So consumers, they it's their own right, and consumers have the right to be informed about the particular goods and services that they purchase. So consumer can then complain and ask for compensation or replacement if the product proves to be defective, if any manner. So if the company is not giving us replacement, then we can file a suit against them. Now here example is given. If we buy a product and find it defective well within the expiry period, we can ask for a replacement. So if the expiry period was not printed, the manufacturer will blame the shopkeeper and will not accept the responsibility. So this is how they are going to blame each other. They are going to the manufacturer is going to blame the retailer, okay, and then the shopkeeper is going to blame the consumer, like why you purchased this particular product if the expiry and all those things were not mentioned. So if people sell medicines that have expired, severe action can be taken against them. So similarly, one can protest and complain if someone sells a good at more than the printed price. So we always have to check this MRP. Okay, MRP is maximum retail price. Okay, maximum retail price. So in fact, consumer can bargain with the seller to sell at less than the MRP. So in recent times, the right to information has been expanded to cover various services provided by the government. In October 2005, the Government of India enacted a law popularly known as RTI. RTI is nothing but a Right to Information Act, which was enacted in the year 2005. Right to Information Act. Okay. So, which ensures its citizens all the information about the functions of government departments. The effect of the RTI can be understood from this case. Now, Amrita, an engineering graduate, after submitting all the certificates and attending the interview for a job in a government department, she did not receive any news of the result. Now, the officials, they also refused to comply with her queries. So what she did is she filed an application using the Right to Information Act, saying that it was her right to know the result in a reasonable time so that she could plan her future. So she was not informed about the reasons for delay in the declaration of results, but also got a call letter for appointment as she performed well in the interview. So these are some of the cases what we are the consumers are facing in their day-to-day life. Next example is given with regards to a refund. Abhirami, a student of Ansari Nagar, joined a 2-year course, okay, at a local coaching institute for professional course in Delhi. So that at the time of joining the course, she paid 61,020 rupees as a lump sum for the entire course of 2 years. So she decided to opt out of the course at the end of 1 year as she found that the quality of teaching was not up to the mark. So when she asked for a refund of the fee for 1 year, it was denied to her. So the coaching fees over here are denied to Abhirami. Okay. So when she filed the case in a district consumer dispute redressal commission, so the commission, they directed the institute to refund 28,000, saying that she had the right to choose. The institute, they again appealed in the state consumer commission. The state commission upheld the district commission's direction and further fined the institute for 25,000 for a frivolous appeal. And they also directed the institute to pay 7,000 as a compensation and litigation cost. So the state commission also restrained all the educational and professional institutions in the state from charging fees from student for the entire duration of the course in advance, and that too at one go. So any violation of this order may invite penalties and imprisonment, the commission said. So here, what do we understood from this lesson? That any consumer who receives a service in whatever capacity, regardless of age, gender, nature of service, they have the right to choose, okay, whether to continue to receive the service or to not. So example again here, if you want to buy a toothpaste and the shop owner says that she can sell the toothpaste only if you buy a toothbrush, but you are not interested in buying the brush, right? So similarly, your right to choice is denied over here. So Sometimes a gas supplier dealers insist that you have to buy the stove from them when you take a new connection. So in this way, many a times you are forced to buy things that we may not wish to purchase, and we are then again we are left with a no choice. Now, if such thing happens with the consumer, where should a consumer go and where they should seek the justice? As we have seen that in the above example of Regis, that Regis' father went to the state commission first and then he went to the national commission. So, these are the redressal commission. Okay, these are the example in which consumers are denied their rights. Such instances occur quite often in our country, right? So consumers have the right to seek redressals against unfair trade practices and exploitation. So if any damage is done to a consumer, she has the right to get compensation depending on the degree of damage, and there is need to provide an essay and effective public system by which this can be done. Then, the consumer can file a complaint before the appropriate consumer forum on his or her own, with or without the services of the lawyer. So, we might be interested in knowing how an aggrieved person gets his or her compensation. So, let's take an example of Prakash. So, he had sent a money order to his village for his daughter's marriage. The money did not reach his daughter at the time when she needed it, okay? Or the money did not reach the months either. So Prakash filed a case in a district level consumer dispute in New Delhi. So all the steps are being taken by the redressal commission. So these days, consumer as an individual or as a group called class action suit can file a complaint against both physically or through internet and conduct the case through video conferencing. Okay. Then here we can see the first example. Prakash goes to the post office to send money order to his daughter. Second, Prakash comes to know that the money has not reached his daughter. So what he can do is he can file a complaint against the redressal system. So he went, he has filed against the consumer forum. So these examples we can go through. So the judge announces the dispute redressal commission verdict. Okay. Next is the consumer movement in India has led to the formation of various organizations, locally known as Consumer Forum or Consumer Protection Councils. So what they do is they guide the consumer on how to file cases in the Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission. So on many occasions, they also represent individual consumers in these commissions. This voluntary organization also receive a financial support from the government for creating awareness among people. Now, so under that this act, a three-tier quasi-judicial machinery at the district, state and national level was set up for redressal of consumer dispute. So what you can do is the district level authority called District Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission. They deal with the cases involving claims up to rupees 1 crore. This part is important. Then the state level Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission called State Commission between rupees if there is a loss between 1 crore and 10 crore. Then the national level commission deals with the cases involving claims exceeding rupees 10 crore. So if a case is dismissed in a district level commission, a consumer can also appeal in the state and then national level commission. Thus, the Act has enabled us as consumers to have the right to represent in the Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission. Okay. So, the next part will be learning to become well-informed consumers. So, how you can understand which product is the better quality of product. So there are some ISI, the standard quality marks, and 8 marks what we can find on the particular product. So this we have to check whenever we are purchasing any product. Okay. Then, so India observes 24 December as a National Consumers Day. And it was on this day that the Indian Parliament enacted the Consumer Protection Act in 1986. So India is one of the countries that have exclusive authority for consumer redressal. So the consumer movement in India has made some progress in terms of number of organized groups and their activities. There are today more than 2000 consumer groups in the country, of which only about 50 to 60% are well organized and are recognized for their work. So the consumer redressal process is becoming cumbersome, expensive and time consuming. So many a time, a consumer, they have to hire a lawyer for some such cases, and these cases require a time for filing and attending the all the court procedures and all. So in most purchases, cash memos are not issued, no. So evidence is also not there. So evidence is also not easy to gather. So the Consumer Protection Act was amended in the year 2019 to further strengthen consumers in India. So buying through internet is now included. If there is any service deficiency or defective product, service provider or manufacturer is also held responsible and will be penalized or even imprisoned. Then, settlement of dispute with the help of neutral intermediary outside the Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission called mediator is now encouraged at all three tiers of Consumer Commission. Then, nevertheless, there is a scope for consumers to realize their role and importance, and it is often said that consumer movement can be effective only with the consumers' active involvement. So this is all with regards to your consumer protection. Okay. Thank you for watching my video.